Hi everybody, welcome to Foley Machinery. This is our hydraulic rebuild department. And this is Ron Sunderman, Tom Eigenbauer, I'm Paul Kirchberger. And what we're going to do for today is show you what we do, what our process is for when a hydraulic cylinder comes in here and gets reconditioned. Okay, after the cylinder came in, we took it outside and washed it off, removed all the heavy debris because we don't want to contaminate our bench. Okay, now it's on a disassembly bench. We have it ready to come apart. After it's disassembled, we're going to measure the barrel bore and we're going to measure the rods to see if they're within spec. Also, we can see if there was any type of failure at this point. Okay, well the cylinder's disassembled now. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Normally if there's some sort of failure, you'll see it on the evidence of the seals here in the piston. This is a good spot to look at. The barrel is going to be inspected and mic'd, but normally you can feel in there if there's any type of scratches or damage. So it looks pretty good. From this stage, what we're going to do is we're going to take the rod, we're going to move it to another station where we can remove this nut. Okay, at this stage we're going to remove the nut from this rod. This is a tool that we have to specifically do that. When the nuts are really tight, we start with this thing. This is the hydraulic cylinder. This gets the nut loosened, and then after it gets loosened, then we can move over. It has a little drive unit in here, and this will spin it the rest of the way off. This is much more faster, but the nut is so tight, we have to break it for this first. Okay, all right. We've gone to the second stage, and it should be able to run that nut off. As you can see, it's spinning nice and easy. It runs it right off. Okay, on this segment, this is the hydraulic honing bench. Every cylinder that we get in, we do a light hone. If there's any damage to the cylinder, we can actually take out some of the rough scratches, or in some cases, go oversized. So this thing is going to go the whole way into that barrel and do a nice light hone. Puts a nice crosshatch finish in it. So it prevents the hydraulic cylinder from drifting, and it helps with the sealing of the process.
After we disassemble the rod, we're going to move it over here to our V-blocks. We're going to spin the rod, make sure it's straight. If it's straight and there's no scores found in it, then we're going to continue our process, bring it to the machine shop, set it up, and polish it. So right now we're going to check to see how straight it is. And this looks very good. Check it in a couple spots. Right there. And this passed our inspection for this. We have no real damage on it. Everything looks like it'll polish right out. The next step will be bringing it over to the machine shop. Okay, here we are in the machine shop. We just brought the rod in from the hydraulic shop. We checked the size. Everything was good on the specifications. We also ran it through the V-blocks to make sure the rod wasn't bent. Everything checked out to be okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to polish the surface of the rod to make it a little bit better, a little bit more ease on our rod seals. And any imperfections that are in the rod are going to come out with our belt polish. We're going to start that right now. Okay, so we just got done with our polishing. We went through the whole surface of the rod. Everything is done. What we're going to do now is a critical step. We go over it by hand with some Scotch-Brite. And it's critical because when you're polishing with the machine, you may not feel any kind of imperfections or blemishes with the machine. You won't be able to pick it up. But when you do it with your hands will feel any kind of small imperfections, any blemishes. We'll be able to address that accordingly before it goes back to the hydraulic shop for reassembly. Okay, so we just got done with our hand polishing. The surface of the rod and the size of the rod are all back to Caterpillar specs. What we're going to do now is take this out of the machine, bring it back over to the hydraulic shop, start reassembling, and get ready for testing our cylinder when we're done. All right, what we just did, we resealed the head, cleaned all the parts, resealed the head, resealed the piston. Now we're reassembling everything. We're going to put the nut on, torque it back up to specs. And, from there, we're going to take it over, and we're going to start assembling it.
This bench is going to tighten the nut up to Caterpillar torque specs, which is 4,800 pounds. Alright, now we hooked up a hydraulic cylinder, and we have a gauge to read the pressure so we can determine the torque of the nut, get into Caterpillar torque specs.
Alright, after the proper Caterpillar torque has been applied, we bring it back over to the reassembly bench. We add our lubrication to it, lube everything up, get all of our markings lined up, and we're going to start our reassembly process. Alright, right now we realigned our head to our barrel, getting all the bolts on, putting never seize on bolts. We're going to tighten everything up. After we get everything tightened, we'll go over it and set it to its proper torque. All right, at this point, we have all the head bolts have been torqued to the proper Caterpillar spec. All of our fittings and hoses are on. We're going to start testing the cylinder. Before we do, we're going to cycle the rod in and out a few times, get all the air out of it. Then we're going to jack up our pressure to about 2,800 pounds, make sure all our seals are holding, and test it a few times. Then we'll be done with completed with our test. Well, that concludes our test. All the components passed all of our Caterpillar criteria. From this point now, we're going to disassemble it, take off our fittings, put new dust seals in, new grease fittings on, get it over to the paint shop, get it all painted, and be ready to go back to the customer.
Why would a customer want to bring in a hydraulic cylinder for repair at Foley Incorporated? First of all, we broke it into 3 different elements. Number 1 is quality, number 2 is value, and number 3 is our turnaround time. Okay, quality. Number 1, we have highly trained technicians. You've met Ron and Tommy. Combined, they have 35 years of experience. Number 2, we follow a strict rebuild process. As you saw, we disassemble, hard home, polish, and test every cylinder no matter what. Number 3, we use all top quality parts. Number 4 is all cylinders are tested to make sure that when you get them and you put them back on a machine, that hopefully we caught everything and you'd be very confident the machine will be up and running for as long as it can. Number 5 is we offer a 1-year full warranty parts and labor. Okay, value. Now value is something that we worked hard over the last few years. We felt as though that we couldn't charge our full labor rate, our shop labor rate, to do hydraulic cylinders. So we did some research and we came up with a lower labor rate that we feel is much more competitive. The second thing we did is we tried to become more efficient of how we do the cylinders. And so what we came up with was another 20% reduction of the amount of labor times we give the guys to do the cylinders. And number 3 is we offer a free seal kit for every 2 Caterpillar cylinders that we do. So now turnaround time. Now, I've been in this business for over 35 years, and I can tell you, turnaround time is always very tough with the customers. They want the machine up and running as soon as possible. So what we try to do is we work with the customers. They call us ahead of time, give us a heads up that they want to bring in a cylinder. We'll order the parts, get the work order going, and then hopefully everything works out okay and we get them up and running. So it's very important for the customer to try and schedule it ahead of time. And the last thing is that Foley does offer some exchange cylinders. They offer them for the excavators, and the wheel loaders are very popular in our area. So if you're really in a jam, you can call up, see if one is available. You can pick it up, change the cylinder out at your leisure, and then when you return that core, then we rebuild your core and put it back into the program. Okay, thank you very much for coming in and visiting us with us today. We hope to hear from you shortly. Bring in a hydraulic cylinder and we'll take good care of you.